الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى كل من بذل مع الحسين. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في محكم كتاب الكريم: وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: ولقد كتبنا في الزبور من بعد الذكر أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th and awaited Imam, and to establish our hearts on the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, please recite with the loudest of your voices a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters, elders in the community, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the past 2 nights that we have gathered and discussed specific issues, we have embarked on the journey of understanding specific terms within the Quran, such as the word mizan and such as the word al-wazn. These are 2 words within the Holy Quran that depict crucial and fundamental principles that the Holy Scriptures came to propagate. Allah in Surah Al-Rahman mentions the word al-mizan, which has been translated within the Arabic language as scale. The first night we discussed the issue of the scale, and in essence, to boil it down, to not repeat what we've been saying in the past few days, is that this scale was a system in which Rasulullah came with. Yet every scale, for it to be of any benefit, for it to be of any use, requires weights to be placed on the scale. The system that Rasulullah came with and reformed Jahiliyyah was this scale that Allah refers to in Surah Al-Rahman as as-sama'a wada'aha wa rafa'a al-mizan. As-sama'a rafa'aha wa wada'a al-mizan alla tukhsiru al-mizan. Allah, 3 consecutive verses, He speaks about a scale. This scale is the system in which Rasulullah came with. Yet in order for a scale to be of any benefit, you have to place specific weights on it. A weight in the Arabic language is defined as what? Thiql. Rasulullah makes it very clear what the 2 weights He left behind for us are, so that we can live in a balanced society. He says, إِنِّي تَارِكُمْ فِيكُمُ الثَّقَلَيْنِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَعِتْرَةِ أَهْلِ بَيْتِ. He says, I left for you 2 weights, 2 weighty things. Ya Rasulullah, what are those 2 weighty things? Kitabullah, number 1, the book of Allah, وَعِتْرَةِ أَهْلِ بَيْتِ, and the family, the progeny after me. Why did Rasulullah mention the family and not only the Quran? Why didn't Rasulullah mention simply the Quran and no necessity to mention Ahlul Bayt? He says no. For you to understand the silent Quran, you have to go back to the speakable Quran. For you to understand haqq within the Quran, you have to go back to the one who was with haqq and haqq was with him. For you to understand when Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about those who in ruku' give charity, you have to go back to the very one where Allah refers to him. He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u ar-rasul wa ulil amri minkum. He says, O you who believe, follow Allah, give obedience to Allah, and give obedience to the Prophet and those who have been vested with authority. Notice the crucial verbiage of this holy verse. Allah mentions 3 specific groups, but He only mentions the word obey twice. He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah. Number 1, obey Allah. Number 2, wa ati'u ar-rasul, and follow the Prophet. Wa ulil amri minkum. He didn't say wa ati'u ulil amri minkum. Why? Because when Allah comes and says, number 1, follow Allah, that's one group. Follow the Prophet, that's the second group. Ahlul Bayt, those who have been vested with authority, aren't a separate group. They are the very ones who continue the message of the Prophet. That's why when Ali ibn Abi Talib is discussed in the Quran, he's not mentioned as simply a man other than Rasulullah. He's mentioned as the very self of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He says, Anfusana wa anfusakum, ourselves and yourselves. Why? Because Ahlul Bayt are seen as the continuation of the message of the Holy Prophet. Ahlul Bayt are seen as the preservation of the message of the Holy Prophet. That's why when the famous hadith comes and says, Ana madinatul ilmi wa aliyun babuha, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. The question arises, why do I need a gate? Remove the gate. I don't want the gate. Why do I enter the house from the roof? I'll come from the basement. Why do I need a roof? Why do I need the door? When Rasulullah comes and says, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate, he's saying if you want to reach the house, you have to go through the door. Because if you go through the window, that's called what? Robbery. In history, you find many people who went through the window, mashallah. Allah comes and says, go through the door. When He comes and says, وَأْتُوا الْبُيُوتَ مِنْ أَبْوَابِهَا within the Quran, enter the houses through the doors. That if I want to know Allah, I have to reach Him through Muhammad. If I want to reach Muhammad, I must reach Him through Ali. Because for me to enter the city, I must enter it through its gate. وَعَلِيٌّ بَابُهَا. He continues, what does he say? فَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْمَدِينَةَ فَلْيَأْتِهَا مِنْ بَابِهَا. He says, whoever wants to enter the city, you must enter it through the gate, Habibi. It's not a matter of option. This is something compulsory. That's why when Rasulullah, he summarizes the very purpose of his 23 years of prophethood. He says very simply, you want to know why I came? قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا. إِلَّا meaning it nullifies everything else. If I come and I tell you, I want nothing from you except $1, meaning everything is secondary except that $1 that I want from you. When Rasulullah comes and says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا, I don't want any reward from you except what? Except for you to love my family. Because for you to understand Allah, you have to reach Him through what? Through a wasila. وَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَ. Reach me through a means. Now the question arises, if Allah is closer to me than my own jugular vein, why do I need to reach Him through a wasila? Many people, they come and say, نحن أقرب إليهم من حبل الوريد. We're closer to you than your own jugular vein. Ya Allah, why do I need a wasila if after all you're closer to me than my jugular vein? Very good point. The question arises is that if Allah is closer to me than my own self, then why do I need to reach Him through a gate? You see, it's interesting. The same people, they say, you're going to ask him, when you're sick, do you go to the doctor? He says, of course, brother, I have to go to the doctor. Well, if Allah is closer to you than the doctor, why don't you go instantly to Allah? Why do you need to go to the doctor? Well, brother, you know the doctor is better than me in medicine. MashaAllah, we have, alhamdulillah, many doctors here. Ask them, when patients come to them, ask them, why do you come to me? Why don't you go to Allah instantly? Ya Allah, heal me. But no, he goes to the doctor as a wasila. Ask him why. He says, because this doctor knows about medicine more than I do. Likewise, I can go to Allah instantly. There's no problem with it. yet the dua would be FedEx. The dua would instantly be accepted if I go through those who are closer to Allah than I am. That's why you find many times people, they come and what do? They try to make it look like visiting the shrines of Ahlul Bayt is kufr. They call it what? Bid'ah. Correct or no? For those of you who have been to Hajj, you hear bid'ahs being thrown at you left, right, and center. You pray on this turbah, bid'ah. You visit the shrine, bid'ah. Why are they doing this? Because they're trying to deprive us from the reflectors of Muhammad. Because they don't like Muhammad. In essence, go to their books. You find people ridiculing the Rasulullah left, right, and center. You begin to question, is this truly the same man who has been sent as a mercy? Is this the same man that Allah says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ? Allah says you have been placed on a high level of standards. When they come and they try to stop you from loving Ahlul Bayt, in essence, they're removing the door because they don't even want you to reach the gate. They don't want you to reach the city. It's all it means. It's all strategic, brothers and sisters. Today, the brothers, mashallah, they beautifully emphasized on Bahrain. Do you know why they're silent about Bahrain? Because these are ones who keep the remembrance of Al-Muhammad alive. You know, Bahrain is 70% Shia. Bahrain, 70% is Shia. The irony is that you find they'll remove other oppressors, but in Bahrain, no. Bahrain is different. This is the same thing as Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah, what would they do? They would support those who they liked, and the rest they would throw them in the garbage. Asabiyya, tribalism. We like you, you're part of our relatives, we'll help you. If not, Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz. Today, the same exact thing. Batil is batil. When Allah comes and says, وَمَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالِ, there is nothing except truth, from truth except falsehood. Allah summarizes it very beautifully. وَمَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالِ. There is nothing after truth except falsehood. Now, who is this haqq? The question arises. وَمَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ. Very crucial word. If we want to know who haqq is, we have to go back to Rasulullah. He comes and he says, عَلِيٌّ مَعَ الْحَقِّ. وَالْحَقُّ مَعَ عَلِيٍّ يَدُورُ مَعَهُ حَيْثُ يَدُورُ. It surrounds him wherever he goes. Now, why is Rasulullah emphasizing on Ali? Is it simply for sympathetic reasons? Well, this is my cousin, this is... No, it's not about that. Is that the Prophet came with a system, and you need something to continue this system after him. And this is no other than imamat. You see, when you study, for example, Christianity, do you know where Christianity deviated? Christianity was a divine religion. Judaism are divine religions that Allah sent. Allah says, Al-Injil wa Tawrat nur. He mentions the Bible and the Torah as light. Now, the question arises, why did Christianity deviate? Because those who came after Jesus propagated things that even Jesus didn't propagate. St. Paul, you know St. Paul, he was a murderer. For 300 years after Jesus, they come with the Trinity. They come and they ask him, St. Paul, Habibi, did you come up with this? Did Jesus come up with this? Jesus didn't say this. God didn't say this. I say this. Same thing in our religion. The Prophet accepted it, but I am making it haram. Habibi, who are you? Rasulullah accepted it, but I'm going to come and stop you from doing it. And then us, the ones who are following what Rasulullah came and planted, where the hadith comes and says, Haramu Muhammad, haramun ila yawm al-qiyamah. Ma ja'akum al-rasulu bihi fakhuduh. Wa ma nahakum anhu fantahu. Whatever Rasulullah comes with, it doesn't change over time. You see, if I make a statement, over time it may change. Time may come and disprove what I say. Yet Rasulullah says something, his mind is at the end of the tunnel. He's looking with utmost wisdom, utmost foresight. وَالْعَاقِبَةِ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. He comes and he says, I didn't say this. Rasulullah didn't say this. Allah didn't say this. I say this. Same thing with Christianity. When we emphasize on the institution of imamat, why is imamat so crucial? Imamat is crucial because through